Budget Committee to order on Tuesday, January 14th at 6 p.m. Thank you all for coming. Our first, next order of business is to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Jack, if you could lead us, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a quorum. We're all set to go. Victor, if you could sit in the, I guess we'll call it the hot seat,
That's fine with me.
because you have the microphone and you'll be visible to
Yep.
anyone who's watching us on Zoom or
Yep.
Facebook or whatever it is we're doing. Our first department to review is the Highway Operations Department. So that is section 4311, Highway Operations. So I'll make a motion to consider the Highway Operations budget in the Select Board recommended amount of $758,984.
I'll second.
Seconded, motion by Paul, seconded by Sue. Before we start asking questions, are there any information or changes that you want to bring to our attention?
What was the number that you read?
I read $758,984.
Okay.
If that's not what I said, that's what I should have said. Does that seem right?
No, it's just different. No, I'm still working off the sheets that we had when we were on. I was just curious as to where the selectmen finished up.
They had a little bit of money for salary increase, so.
Yeah.
I think you had 750 and they went to 758. Was there any, do you want us to start asking questions? Or
Yeah, I'd rather go, because if you guys are going to jump, it's easier to jump over than me to drag you out through anything.
Okay.
So I'd rather just, if you want to start from the top of the lines or however you want to do it.
I don't particularly, if people have other questions, speak up. I don't particularly want to start at the top and go line by line. I guess the first couple of lines are personnel. I would just ask, my understanding is that with Mark retiring and you moving up and someone else moved up and someone else moved up, how are you doing staffing wise? Are you full? Are you still?
I'm fully staffed at this point, and I'm very pleased the crew's doing outstanding.
Good.
So we're very happy with all the moves, and the moves help really with morale and that too. So it worked out very, very well for the entire department.
Okay. So generally what we do for the most part is we go through and we look for places where there are big increases.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I mean, again, it's not a huge amount of money, but it's a big percentage increase. Line 142 for your on-call compensation.
Yes, that was approved by the selectmen.
Yep.
We've been sitting at $75 per week on call for over 20 years. All the other departments are running $125 a week, and I would like to see that matched. The selectmen agreed to bring them up to match what the other on-call compensations are, which is $125 a week. But we only run total, I think it's 14 weeks of on-call out of the year. So it's not a large number, but it does double what it was. It was 75 to 125.
Okay. And just for my benefit, because, I mean, it's not, I don't want to micromanage you, but I'd like to understand.
Yeah,
So
sure.
This is something where you, basically someone is designated as the on-call person, so if a road emergency happens,
Yes.
the call goes to them and they respond first. And
Right.
then when they show up, they're on the clock and they get paid a regular wage. But in order to have to carry around the phone and
Right.
not enjoy their summer with a couple of beverages.
No, it's none of that. It's actually just the winter hours. We
Oh,
run
it's
it.
winter.
We run that from November 15th to April 15th.
Oh, winter.
That's why I'm saying it's only like 13 or 16 some odd weeks
Okay.
that we run it at. And with all the things that go on with that, of course, you're limited. You got to be less than 20 minutes away. You can't go to Concord or anything like that. So it's an inconvenience to them, but they do very, very well with it. I just wanted to see it matched with what the other on-call guys were getting after all these years.
Sorry. Usually I stick that in my, sounds reasonable to me. Thank you.
Okay.
Help me. All right, again, if anyone else has anything, feel free to speak up. I see that, I mean, we had talked about it before, but I see that you've, instead of having a line for equipment maintenance on every piece of equipment that we own, we've bundled those together and put them into one maintenance line.
Yes, you're down at 660 now, I believe it is.
I'm down, yes.
Right, now, so that's, the select board had gone to a new system that the police department test piloted. And so basically what it's doing is consolidating all those vehicles down to one line number for you guys to look at and just dealing with one line number figure. We are still, it's called a tag system, it's based on license plate and all that. We're still able to track each vehicle, what we're playing, but it doesn't restrict us to go, God, we can only go, you know, stay with that one vehicle at this and one vehicle at that. It took the conglomerate to say, this is the bulk, this is where it's at, and then if we don't use all the money on this one, we still got, you know, we're just working with the kitty, but we can at least track what we're spending on each vehicle, but then go, okay, this is the best guess that we have on it. So we are still, just to let you know, tracking each expenditure by vehicle in a different system so that we understand where we are with each vehicle. So when it comes down to the CIP or it comes down to questions about getting rid of a vehicle, we can tell you what we're spending on in that. It's just not so inundated to the budget where everyone's going, well, why did you buy a new set of tires for that vehicle or whatever you did.
No, I like that, I like the system better. I think it gives you some more freedom and it helps put it all together. I mean, from a town point of view, whether you're putting bearings on vehicle A or you're putting brake pads on vehicle B, I don't care.
My discussions with Chief Bean was, you know, we don't lose any of the efficiency of seeing the historical data per vehicle.
That was the thing.
But budgeting, it really helps us to just go, hey, listen, let's just, you know, if you're looking to shave, you know, we'll have to really, you know, if we shaved out of that number, we could go, you know, we just gotta watch what we're doing, you know. But we still have the ability to track each vehicle where we're going.
I think that was part of the idea, Paul, what you just said, just for us to, we have a single line for maintenance, because you don't know what you're gonna get for any vehicle.
Right.
That's unexpected maintenance.
Correct.
During the year, so that you can.
You can predict preventive maintenance all day long.
Yeah.
It's corrective maintenance you can't
Correct.
predict.
So that was part of the idea, that it would be one
I
line
think it
item.
makes sense, but I think it also makes great sense what you said, is you still have the ability to look at what's being spent on each vehicle to make the decision, you know, is this now gotten to the point where we're spending so much on maintenance where
Right.
we're starting to be not cost efficient, so you still
Right,
have the
so,
tools,
I mean, if-
you still have the tools you need to make those types of determinations.
Right, so, because if you look at our normal budget, it's just, I've got a copy of it here from the end of 2024, and you look at the cost negatives on several of the vehicles, the older ones like the backhoe and things like that, they're in cost negative. It's only coming out of that funding. We're sitting there going, it comes out of my overall budget. The machine has to be up, we have to repair it, we have to be able to track it. And we're not losing, the one thing is we're not losing the ability to track each piece of equipment.
A question on the iteration of equipment that's under the maintenance line. I understand that we have a new large snowplow, because I've seen it in my neighborhood. I don't see it listed here. Does that mean that because it's new, it won't have any maintenance, won't need oil changes or anything?
No, that's inaccurate. No, there's still always maintenance. And of course, by the end of the season, the outside two tires will have to be replaced from the chain wear.
But it isn't listed?
It's not up to date. That is not accurate. The
But-
new one will be.
Buzz, the issue is that in '24, we had a line for each piece of equipment.
Right.
Now for '25, we're zeroing those out and putting them all into six
Oh,
systems.
Under one line.
So he never created a line for the
Right.
new
I
truck
got it, I got it.
because it wasn't
Yeah.
in last year's budget. Why would
Right.
he create a line
Right.
to make it
It's
zero?
it's actually two vehicles. We've got the 550 came in and the International came in. Both of those never had lines created for them. So
Oh, that
But I
was-
just want to point
that
out to
was
Buzz,
gonna
the
be-
reason is because if we hadn't changed the system, you would have created new
Well, we
lines.
would have, but
Because we've gone to this new system, you don't need to.
But they are created in the
You're still
the tracking system. So those numbers do exist. It's just one total number to you.
Well, that was gonna be my next question, that I assumed it was delivered in 2024, so, but you just
But
didn't
we-
bother to
but
assign
we
a
create-
cost to it.
We
Right.
created the budget in '23 for '24.
Right.
And then the vehicle got delivered in '24.
Right. So
So-
they didn't exist.
Is somebody taking notes for Christina?
Yes.
So she might want to make a note to add that to that line before we finalize. To
It's,
add
it's
those
already
two-
added. It's in the other system, Carol.
Put
It's in
those
the
two-
tax system.
No, I understand that, but put those two items into this explanation.
Oh,
So
I
that
see.
nobody has that
Oh, I
same.
see.
Yeah, yeah,
Explain
yeah.
for
We can put
Before
that
we,
in.
660.
before we finalize the.
Right,
paper.
yeah.
Just that it includes all new equipment.
Right,
Right.
something of
Duly
that
noted.
nature.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, the only other two lines I see that kind of stick out, I mean, disability insurance and line 211, I'm gonna guess you have absolutely no control over that.
I do not.
Kind of thought so. I thought there was one more. What, so line 631 sidewalks.
630.
Yeah, we budgeted 4,000 in the 2024 budget, and you're asking for 10,000 in the 2025 budget.
631. Hang on, let me just
Did I
find
get that
that.
right? Yeah, 631. It's just, so is that, things got more expensive? Are we doing something additional to what we've done in past years, or why is that such a big?
So state your question again, please.
So line 631.
Yeah.
In the 24 budget, last year's budget, we allocated $4,000.
Yep.
And I know that spending year to date is not finalized, it can change, but right now it's showing, we haven't even spent half of it.
Yeah, not even.
And now you're asking for 10,000.
I was holding that number. So I'm looking. Why was that? I'm looking at 4,000. Oh, so the 2024 budget was asked because Mark was looking to do Summer Street, and with the reconstruction of the square, and the state did not comply with us. We weren't allowed to do what we wanted to do, so we were not able to do Summer Street. The money was used. 6,000 of it came out of 631 to cover the cost overage on projects. I thought we were just asking for 4,000 on that. I thought we were just asking for.
So this is not like the machine that plows the sidewalks.
No, this is for sidewalk
constructing-
maintenance.
This is constructing or building or repairing.
Or maintaining
the
or
actual sidewalks.
dealing with rush. So
Okay,
one of the other issues, and I'm unclear on giving them a full stated answer to, because we have to look into it. And we know we have files. So we had a dig down in the square where the concrete is falling apart. So that's concrete down there, not flexible pavement. We had to replace it with asphalt. Two of the tip downs down where you're going over to from the square area to Shackett's to the hotel area is all disintegrated. The salt is doing a number to it. There are several portions along that line that are falling apart, and then over by Dead River, it's heaved up to where we had to jackhammer that out and put it in. I did not get in time for this budget the cost of replacement if we go back to concrete, or whether the select board makes the decision that when we do remove it, we're just going to continue with asphalt. With those unknowns, I could not come up with a number. So under my direction from the select board and the TA was patch and replace right now to get us through the winter, and let's not worry about 2025. Let's look at 2026 as if we're going to go for a major repair there. So I didn't know what money to play with, so I left it at that in case we got numbers in and the select board could say, hey, well, can we do a partial repair or not a partial repair? I could say, this is what we have to play with. It's just a best guess number.
right.
What
I'm hearing
So
you say-
if you're willing to, if you want to cut money out of that or whatever, I'm willing to work with you. I just want something there to play with in case the select board and the town administrator, myself, go, hey, we got a number, is it feasible to do some repairs and no repairs, or do we just go with a patch? So it was just a number to work with, so that the select board's got a number to work with, where we're not looking at outside funding from anywhere else to work on those sidewalks.
I gotcha. What I think I'm hearing you say is that there's still some policy questions that need to be discussed at the select board level to
Yes.
decide what we want to be doing. Carol, do you have any?
No, that's all,
Thing to add to
that's
that?
all accurate. But it seems like we probably, I think we were putting that decision off till we saw how things were in the early year. So,
That was it, so when
Yeah.
we get to the major projects items, you'll see why they're sitting there going, can we just hold off on the sidewalks?
Okay.
yeah,
And rightly so, and I think the select board has every reason to sit there and go, if that's something that we can hold on, let's hold on it. So I just left the number there, and if it's something where, if we're looking to take $5,000 out of something, let's take $5,000 out of there, and the select board and I can work with whatever is left there as either a temporary fix or a non-fix. The bigger project items are really what I think is the discussion tonight, but that's not 4311, that's the 4324 or whatever it is.
All right, we have another
Right.
something else to do. What do you think, Walter? Or anyone else have an opinion? Do we just leave this where it is, or do we want to consider making a cut?
I'd like to consider making a cut.
You'd like to?
Sure,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what the
Well,
motion
let's
is
get
first.
I do, I make a motion to, for line 631, to be 5,000 less than the 10,000, so to make it for $5,000, like he had suggested.
Okay, you still want to second
I
that?
do.
So we have a motion from Sue, seconded by Buzz, to amend line 631 of section 4311 from the current amount of $10,000 to a new amount of $5,000. Do you want to discuss, or do we want
No,
to just go
just-
ahead and have a vote at this point?
I would just say, be aware of this. If in the middle of the summer, we patch the sidewalks and people aren't happy with how they look or how they are. You know how that goes. Sidewalks aren't really good, and we patch it and do what we have to do, that we all have to be aware that we made that decision.
I
I can live with it.
I hear what you're,
I'm not arguing, I'm just saying, remember, that's how this goes.
That's a pretty important area, right?
So, so I'm just sitting in the seat now as a superintendent. So I would say, I would take the bloody nose from the public on patches and go, I would rather, as a superintendent, say, I want to fix from point A to point B fully comparably new and put more patches in there. And when it gets to a degraded position, we sit there and go, okay, from point A to point B, we're gonna budget and put it as a special projects item instead of out of a sidewalk repair line.
Yep.
I try to view this line as a sidewalk repair line where we've had damage done due to plowing or damage done to that, and I'd rather keep that number in a more workable number for the budget committee as a repair line instead of a project line.
Got it.
I would rather approach full repair as a project line.
I was gonna say, so I'm thinking, I'm liking you more and more, because I'm thinking exactly the same way. I'm more willing to support spending money on a project to do sidewalks correctly. When we're
Right.
doing temporary patches, I'd like to do them as cheaply as possible, because eventually we're gonna go back and
Right.
rebuild the
So
sidewalk.
what I'm trying to carry forward as a superintendent is we are going to let things go to a point where major repair has to be made instead of major repair over bad repair. So, and I'm not saying that was the old policy in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying we decided that the square project was going to be a concrete. 99% of our sidewalks are asphalt. They're very easily repaired and patched. Concrete is not. And I think we have to view the square that way, that if we're going to repair something down there, it will be a temporary repair, which may be 2-3 years, and then a full repair
Okay.
as a project.
Anyone else wanna make a comment, or?
That's a pretty important area. There's a lot of traffic there. Is a $5,000 savings really worth it? in that area.
So, Walter, $5,000 is not going to repair those concrete sidewalks. All you're doing is giving me a buffer to do more repairs and put more patches all over the place. You're not giving me enough to repair from point A to point B. And that's why I say that would have to go into a project line. And there's not enough damage down there right now to do a project line.
I'm all for this.
Okay, so I don't think we need to do a roll call. Let's just try to do a by acclamation. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oops, sorry.
That's not me, that's okay. So that's all 6 of us. So nays and abstentions are 0. That passes 6-0. I think that was it for lines that I was going to ask about. Does anyone else have anything else that they would like to ask Victor or to propose any changes? So having said that, I'll take back. So I'm looking at line 681, Victor.
681, yeah,
Which
catch
is
basins and culverts.
culverts. It says this line should include driveway culverts. Victor will provide more detail
Yep.
at the meeting. Do you
Okay.
have more detail?
Yeah, I do. Again, this might be just a new way of doing things at the highway department, under myself being the superintendent. We never kept on-hand stock. We kind of responded to things more as the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Okay.
But one of the things that the select board requested out of me was to start to build forecast things that are going on. So on average, I broke out the 10 years that I've been here, and on average, we're replacing, our policy in the town is if a driveway culvert goes bad, after the homeowners put it in, the town replaces it. So on average, we're doing about 6 to 7 a year, and that's got nothing to do with my road crossings. So that's a 20-foot length of pipe, and so there's 6 of them, at that point. So I don't ever stock that. We've never stocked that in the yard on average. We're reactionary. And I'm going, well, if we're doing 6 a year, we've got a known number here. And again, that's got nothing to do with crossings of roads. In other words, a culvert that crosses a road is now at an angle, so it's not 20 feet across, and it's going to be 30 to 40 feet depending
So
on the road.
this is like the culverts along the side of the road at the end of someone's driveway?
Yep, we replace end of driveway culverts. Again, that is town policy, not my policy, it's town policy. So we replace on average about 6 a year, and we don't normally stock that, and it becomes a feast or famine thing. So I said, well, we have a culvert line, catch basin and culvert line, and we rebuild at least 2 box basins a year, okay? So I came up with a list of what it would take to do that on average every year, and I applied it to that line, which comes to, and I have it broken out here, $4,952. So I asked for like
Call it $5,000.
$5,000 is what I asked for. Because on average, we are robbing Peter to pay Paul throughout the entire budget to cover this every year anyway. And that is before an emergency filled cross culvert that goes across the road. So this is a kitty that I can almost guarantee you would get expended every year. That now I'm not robbing $500 here, $500 there, $500 there to cover the cost. So I budgeted the line to be appropriate, and I've got the numbers if you wanted to see them or whatever.
Well, you described them, that's enough.
Okay.
That's enough for me.
So that's how that number came up for that line.
Okay.
So it's less than $1,000 a repair. Well, and if you're asking.
Yeah, a little bit less than $1,000 per
$5.
repair. Yeah, we don't calculate man hours or equipment time, but it's just raw stock that we have to purchase.
Okay.
So that's where I came up with that number.
So what I'm hearing you say is it's money we've been spending, we just didn't make it visible in the budget. We
Right.
had it kind of hidden in there, and this
Right.
calls it out and shows it where everyone can see it.
Exactly. And so I'm a big believer in, just so you know, so let's say I have a very bad year with this and I go into cost overrun. What I want to see is that negative on that line in the budget to go, hey, listen, you know, I can break it down to you and say, these are the culverts we did and this is where we did them, and we thought we best guessed 6 and we did 9, you know, but worry about 7, 8, and 9 where I got to rob Peter to pay Paul to do it, you know.
But it makes it visible, and then it becomes a discussion on policy. Do we want to continue to do this and spend this money?
Right.
Because it's more than we expected, because it's...
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So that's how I came up with that number.
Makes sense to me.
I don't know if I can say it, but
You can.
I was one of the ones, the culverts at our house that you had to fix. So it was like a godsend that it showed up, because we had all that flooding coming down on Pekin Hill. So it was really...
So you're saying thank you?
Thank you, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It just was really good, because it destroyed everything. The culvert had been there for like 30 years.
Right.
And then it just went...
And we have a lot of culverts like that around town that just are barely getting by, and
Yeah,
and I can guarantee you 6 a year are probably going to get done.
yeah.
Okay.
Most of them are in our right of way, probably.
Yes. Yeah. If they're outside the right of way, we do not touch them.
That's the reason, right?
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments or desires to do anything, or are we ready to call a vote
Did
on
the
the
salt go up that much?
No, actually, salt went down this year at this point. It only went down by about by $3 a ton, so it's not that big of a number. And I'm requesting to leave the salt number where it is, because you know, I just have no idea. I'd like to go. I never did the purchasing. I mean, I would purchase it for Mark when he would direct me to, but I didn't track the number. I would like to ask that we leave the number where it is, so I can ride another year out where I'm actually controlling the purse strings on that, and see where we lay in. We've had a very difficult year this year, or the end of 2024 budget, where we've been out 13 times, and on average between Thanksgiving and that we only go out about 6. But it's been more ice than snow this year. So my salt increase at the end of 2024 was much higher than it was the previous year. So I would like to just build my matrix. If you want to finagle some of the money out of there, let's talk about it. I'm willing to work with you, but I was looking for another year.
Just for completeness, I want to make sure everyone realizes we're talking about line 693, which is salt, which in the last year's budget was 39,000, and this year's proposed budget is 49. But if you go back, 3 years ago it was 51, 2 years ago it was 40, last year it was 39, almost 40. So you're taking it back up to 49.
Right.
And what I hear you say
I'm
is...
holding it 49. 2024 was 49.20. I held it.
Says 39. That's
It's-
what
does it?
that's
In
what
our
he's
budget, it
asking.
says 39.2, and it says you're going up
Okay.
to $49,200.
Honestly, I didn't see that number go up that much, but apparently it did. If I would say, let's stay at 39. If you want to take the 10 out of there, I've got no issue with that. I think it's playable at this point, that we're already halfway through January. And again, I only have to look at Thanksgiving
I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate you're trying to be helpful. I would actually not want to take it all the way back to 39. You said you're a new superintendent, you're
Yes.
learning, it's been a tough start to the year. Maybe split the difference and go instead of taking a 10,000 increase, go to a 5,000 increase?
Fine, I'm willing to work with you on that. I think it's playable and workable.
I think for the difference, I'll withdraw my question, because they do a good job. And like you said, this is his first year. Let's be as cooperative as we can.
And
appreciate
again,
what you
no,
do.
so no, let's work this. I honestly believe that let's come to a compromise here. I'm willing to work with you. If you want to take 5,000 out of there, I think it is doable. I will monitor and do my job and do that. I was just looking for a little more fluff. If you want to take some of the fluff away, let's take some of the fluff away. I have no problem with that. That number is there for all of us to work with. I'm trying to justify why I asked for what I didn't. And again, I asked for this in October, and I wasn't even in the seat yet. Okay, so a lot has changed since then, and I've had.
I think you were actually required to put this request in by the end of September, so.
Right. So, I've learned a lot since September too, okay? So, I'm willing to work with you. I put it in a number where I thought I would have to come in here and kind of work with you people on this.
What did, how much did you say it was, price had changed?
So,
It actually come down by $3.
Just come down.
in the 24 budget, it says we approved 39,200. The request for 25 is 49,200. You made the comment that if we wanted to go all the way back to that number, you thought you could live with that. I would rather not take the 10,000 all the way
Right.
back to 39. I'll make a motion to amend line.
244.
I'll make a motion to amend line 693 of section 4311, which is salt and highway operations, from the current amount of 49,200 to a new amount of
44.
I'm sorry, 44. Try again, Paul. From a current amount of 49,200 to a new amount of 44,200.
Yes.
Seconded.
So a motion from Paul, seconded by Joe, to reduce that number by 5,000. And I don't really need, I think we've talked about it enough already. I'll call a vote. All in favor? Aye. We get 6 ayes, so nays and abstentions are 0. That passes unanimously. All right. Now, can we
Move the adjusted bottom line.
move the adjusted bottom line? Everyone read? Anyone else have another line or a question or anything? Okay, so now we're going to vote on approving the amended bottom line budget for the highway department. So section 4311 for the new amended amount of $748,984.
I see. Oh, please.
We made a motion to start, now we're just voting on the amended motion. So all in favor? Aye. You a yes? Okay, so that's 6 yeses, nays, and abstentions are
So what was your total number on the bottom line?
$748,984. So we did 2 $5,000 cuts, so.
Yep.
Okay. Ready to go to the next section, which you said is gonna be interesting. So we're gonna now, I'll make a motion to consider the highway projects department budget, which is section 4312, in the select board recommended amount of $335,001.
Seconded.
Seconded by, motion by Paul, seconded by Joe. So I see we have, I guess, 4 lines in here. You said this would be an interesting discussion? You want-
Yeah, I gotta look at the new one. My notes are about all that one, but I know where I'm going because I got it all in files. So let me just go to the new one.
Okay.
Highway projects.
It looks like you've already, the amount that's in the budget now, the select board recommended is less than what you originally asked for. So they've already given you a haircut.
They have. So we're looking at, can I just reiterate the numbers? So,
Sure, go ahead.
We're looking at 335,001.00 for a total.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So the numbers are,
Right, so drainage projects for
Yep.
12,000, road resurfacing for 300,000, chip seal, placeholder of 1, and guardrail projects 23,000.
yes, those are all correct numbers.
Okay?
So what do you want to talk about first? However you want to talk about them.
So, I think I guess the question I would ask, and I don't even know if this is really so much a budgeting thing, but we've talked about on road repair.
Yep.
What do we call it? Road, resurfacing roads.
Yes.
That in the past, under the previous superintendent, we had, I don't know, 10-year, let's go and put a new top layer on every road.
Yes.
And one of the things that I heard from sitting through a select board meeting, and then I think, might have also heard you chime in that there's maybe a more effective long-term strategy to do, not just throwing a top, again, I gotta.
Well,
be careful.
so,
But, so is this the new plan, or is this a continuation of the old plan?
no, so let's just say, this is not saying Mark did anything wrong with
I
it, he
wasn't
did it
trying to
right,
say
but
that.
so, the point of it is Mark expanded the lifespan of all our roads out to the max extent that he could with the subterranean being the way it was.
Right.
And we have, right near the end of his tenure there, we are getting roads to the point where the under drainage is no longer in the position where we can go over the top of it again.
Okay.
It happens to coincide with his retirement, and this is kind of the same time that I'm walking into it. So there are roads that we have identified with failed drainage. Chestnut Street being the worst at this point. Beach Street, we had lost the center of the road, and that we had to do something. Chestnut Street is now in that same predicament where we're losing the side of the road, and it's going right up the road. So under the request, when I jumped into the seat, the select board looked at me and said, we want to see a twofold plan when we're looking at road reconstruction. That we are looking at the subterranean as long as when we're looking at the top coat. So we have to deal with other things too on it. We have to deal with not only my drainage underneath there, but we have to deal with water and sewer underneath there in the village district, and when they have repairs and things like that. So we're trying to put it all together to make it all speak as one now, so that when we're looking at doing a road or taking on a road for a repair, that the repairs are done beneath the surface before the top of the surface. So we have several failed areas and a couple areas that we put in deferred maintenance just because we think we can prolong them along. The problem was when we came out of that package that Mark was operating under, we had top coated Bristol Hill and we had top coated Smith River Road with the intention of, and we had put the base coats down but never put the top coat on.
Mm-hmm.
So we spent a lot of money on those two roads, but we did not finish them. And then his last year here, he struck to move and went for Upper Birch and reclaimed them because they needed to be reclaimed.
Well, yeah, we had a horrible water
Right,
situation.
so we had to deal with the flood and all that, so he was trying to put it all together in his last year and try to cover everything. And I think he did an incredible job with that. We made the right calls as a department, talking to the select board made the right calls, but it still puts us in a category as what do we do with those two roads that we invested all that money into. So I had put forth the first package to the select board was to top coat those two roads that we had originally done. It comes to $360 some odd thousand.
Yep.
The select board thought that number was a little too high.
Okay.
They wanted to go into this year, and I think they bounced around the number of, they were not willing to go higher than 300,000 was the number I was given. So with that concept, I said, well, if of the two roads, if there's a must-have, we must put a top coat on Bristol Hill. We've invested a lot of money into that, and it's the new binder that's already down is already starting to scale with 2 years now going on a third year of winter. So that's 171,288
Right.
for a rough number. They were willing to do more. They kind of gave me the number like they were shooting for they were willing to go to about 300,000. So what I did do was, there are always things that we'd like to do to really improve work for the highway department so that things are easier and roads are maintained. Without going into roads that need under drainage work on it, I put down for Harriet and for Ernest and John L., which are the 3 dirt roads up on Hall Road, that when we originally took them over should have been paved within 2 or 3 years of us taking them over and never been paved. And they draw a lot out of us. All our dirt roads draw a lot out of us for maintenance. If we were to pave those roads, we could take a lot of maintenance out of the summertime work up on those areas. So I had those bid out, and they came out to 24,000 for Harriet, 24,128, and for the John L. and Ernest roads, 86,600, which puts us sitting right around $2,082 and $282,022. And that's what I was looking to have done this year. So that takes 3 of our dirt roads out of dirt road maintenance and into year-round paving maintenance, plus taking care of Bristol Hill.
Okay.
With that forecast, now we can look at 2026 in a long-range forecast and go, we'll finally top coat. And the reason I chose Smith River is because it's a fairly level road. There's not a high volume of runoff on it, like the vertical slope on Bristol Hill. We could probably squeak it another year, and it's not scaling or shedding any of the top coat or the base coat that's been put down. So if we use that as a primary number in 2026 and then go for some other repairs and whatever, we can blend those numbers. So that's how I came up with the number of 300,000 for paving. And the reason I chose Ernest, John L., and Harriet is the substructure up on those roads is all RCP, reinforced concrete drainage. So they've all been inspected. There's no major work that we have to do. GMI is going to do the quick gravel, bring it up to pitch and grade with a crown, and then pave it. So I'm thinking I'm giving the town the bang for the buck for what we can do for what the select board was requesting out of us.
Do you have a longer-term plan for the roads that you do have drainage issues?
Yes, so one of the tasks from the select board this year was, and I'm working with that and I've already started to build it, is the forecast of where we're at with each road with a detailed inspection and start to forecast out a 10-year plan of subterranean with top coat. So in other words, we realized the Beach Street, if we were to break it, the Beach Street project would be a contracted project, but when you look at Chestnut Street, our goal is, for the highway department itself, is to repair the drainage on Chestnut Street all the way up to the fire hydrant before Ellen Lane. The problem is the corner Ellen Lane is collapsing, so we may have to do that repair, and that's where we come into, back to that culvert issue, is there's a cross culvert going across the road that's not in the budget for this year, but it's collapsing right now. That'll have to go. So when you go down to projects, we've also added a new line for drainage projects, and we'll get into that, is we had a failure on 4th Street, and then it got exacerbated by a water line break this fall, and has now erupted that problem to make it even worse. And that's in this $12,000 package that's coming up. So, but yes, the answer to your question is, between the town administrator and myself, and we're looking to get one selectman on it when I get some more information, to sit more of like an internal committee to go, hey, where are we looking at, and break the town out to the districts and go, what can we do in this district, and forecast it out into a 10-year program.
Thank you.
What's involved in subterranean rehabilitation?
So it's threefold, okay? It relies on information from the water and sewer department, and then it relies on my information for drainage. So when you look at drainage, we have a lot of complex problems, whereas when we're in the downtown district, we have state drainage running through that connects sometimes into our drainage, and the two entities don't agree. In other words, the state goes, well, we're not doing anything about it, or then we got to say the only way we can do it is to let it fail, or the town makes the decision to spend the money and then get the state to approve us to do it. Second fold is, once you leave that and you get onto our streets itself, is if Jeff has water and sewer in there, and then I have subterranean drainage, like when we take on the Beach Street issue that we had this year, where we had lost the right-hand side of the road was collapsing, and it happened to be where the 2 buildings burnt down. So we kind of all worked together with that landowner, because we were in the right of way of them. We were able to repair that line, fix it, but the bigger problem down the road is something that you would say, once the public safety buildings calm down and there's no new fire truck or something, we go, look, we're looking for $1.5 million to go from the river all the way up to the meadows. It's a 3-foot culvert, and it's going to be a super project. that we would have to fund. That would be something outside of my realm, other than the engineering with our town engineer. That project is coming. No different than we can forecast at Danforth Brook, the culvert there or slash bridge is forecasted class 2E red, it's going to get replaced. And those are the things that the town administrator and myself are trying to now put into a forecast range, so we say, hey, look, this is coming. You know, we have to do something. And we're, excuse me, I've had a dry cough for 2 months. We are trying to forecast that out to go, listen, somewhere around 2028, 2029, Beach Street from the river all the way to the meadows is either gonna be done in 2 phase or 1 phase. And that's where we'd be approaching you guys. And we'd be, excuse me. And that's where, you know, with the town engineer, we'd be looking for grants, federal grants and state grants for that, so.
But just assuming that you're on a stretch road that has no utilities or drainage, what is the difference between just putting another top coat on or rehabilitating the?
So Chestnut Street is going to go next year. It was scheduled for this year, we went into cost overruns. We've got the culvert, we're gonna replace the culvert line all the way up that road, okay? That means we're gonna have to come 2 or 3 feet in. That means for 2 to 3 years, that road, because I will not be able to make the turn onto Ellen Lane on this budget and take it all the way up Ellen Lane. So why would I repair from Chestnut Street to Ellen Lane and then pave it brand new when I'm gonna tear up Ellen Lane? So this year, this phase of it, we're gonna replace from Chestnut Street up to the fire hydrant up by, I can't think of the house number. Anyways, it's all the right-hand side. You will deal with that patch for 2 to 3 years. Then we will budget for Ellen Lane, because we've done partials on Ellen Lane, we'll fix that. And then we'll go, okay, this is now when we start talking about top coat again, we're gonna go, okay, so Virginia Lane, Ellen Lane, and Chestnut Street will be paved top coat and that this year because all the subterranean is complete, and we can do 4th Street and possibly Timber Lane if we've now put the matrix together to start making these repairs underneath. And
So, I think,
So-
just,
Go ahead.
so the issue on Chestnut Street's right in front of my house, so I can kind of speak to that one. So it's not so much like, there's literally a sinkhole in the street. They keep filling it every few months, but it just keeps sinking and sinking and sinking. And it's, I'm guessing because the drainage underneath the asphalt is not,
it's gone.
it's not functioning the way it's supposed to anymore, so.
I just wanted to clarify, when you say culvert, is that's in my, so would I be correct in saying that's the pipe that's connecting the storm drains, that's taking
Yes.
the storm water away when
Yes.
we get rain?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a culvert, there's a driveway culvert, and then there's underneath drainage culvert that we run with. One goes from
Because when you say a culvert, I'm thinking like, so I often walk on North Main Street. So there's a ditch
Yeah.
on one side of the road, and then there's a pipe under the road, I think of that as a
Yeah.
culvert, and then on the other side, you can see the water running down the
Yes.
hill towards Lake Street. But in this case, this is the pipe that's connecting the
catch basin,
the
the
catch basins
Yes,
that eventually get the water down. I think it eventually all goes down
serve the river.
somehow.
yeah, one way or another it gets there.
So is it safe to say, Victor, what he's saying is, if there is a subterranean problem, we would need to fix that before,
What we're doing is,
before paving?
this
He's not
process
saying-
is now IDing
Right.
all that and working those issues
Right.
prior to the top coat.
But based on his question, you're not saying we just go do the subterranean always, it's
Right.
only if we think there's a problem.
And again, I think Mark took us in great strides to why tear up a road when there was no necessary,
Right.
but now we've gotten to the point where we have to look. There's no choice, we have to look at the subterranean.
I honestly feel like that might not be a bad idea to do any, like, my sewer line, when we replaced it, was still clay pipe.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the portion of the towns that's still underneath the street is probably still clay pipe.
In certain areas it
Yeah.
is.
So it's probably good for the water department to have an opportunity to get at that stuff and replace any
So that's how I came up when we're talking about paving, because that's where we started on this.
Right.
And we kind of got into 360, but those are the roads that I had scheduled for paving, is to top coat Bristol and then go for the 3 dirt roads to get them up to a position where they're not so much maintenance to us. And that's how I came up with 300,000. And those are bidded quotes out of GMI under the contract that we have with them.
I'll just make my comment to try to wrap this thing up, is that all you've said makes sense to me, and I appreciate it. It sounds like you're working hard with the select board to get this right and keep the town in good shape. I'm always, I shouldn't say always, that's not, but I'm hesitant to cut things like this, because I don't believe that when we cut things in this budget, we really avoid costs, we just delay them. I think unless there's a crisis, this type of stuff is a good investment in the town, and so I'm ready to approve it, but I will allow somebody else to speak up if they want to say something.
I regret ever mentioning the salt. I'm so happy with the highway department.
Walter, I really appreciate that.
And I was just asking the question, I had no intention of causing that.
That's, okay. All right, now here,
So that was the paving line. Did you want to talk about drainage, or did I kind of cover that
I
already?
thought you already covered drainage,
Yeah.
at least for me you did.
The only other thing that got added, and I don't know whether you've noticed or
I
not,
see guardrails,
yes,
but
guardrail, is, there's a couple of sections around town that I'm starting to forecast that out to, that have just dilapidated to the point. This happens to be, if you've ever been along Crescent Street, and then along Green Street, the guardrail there that is against a very steep incline that we are just not have the capability of replacing. That has to be done by a contractor, and they're at the point where the fail-safe is not good. So I got a quote on that from CW Fence, and it comes to about $23,000 to have them come in next year and do that guard.
yeah, I understand from the note you're saying if you did the two projects separately, it'd be 27, but by combining them, you get a volume discount to get it to 20.
Right, because they work on a linear footage. If they don't have enough linear footage to come out, they're going to throw in an overtax onto you, basically, because it's
They're gonna drive out to the site and sell.
right. Then next year they're going to come out and do the same thing, and they said, give us a package with so many linear feet, and it'll be cheaper for you. And that's what I came up with what I consider the two most dangerous guardrails that I feel need to go, because the one on Green Street really has to go.
Okay,
They're both awful.
Terrible.
I've seen both.
I haven't been on Crescent Street recently, but I know where it is. I don't even know if I know where Green Street is, but I don't know all these.
It's up behind the Chinese restaurant.
Oh,
It
okay.
laterals over to Chandler.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what is so on the previous budget, the guardrail replacement for $3,500, why would that be in this budget?
Okay, so you're going back up to
Yeah.
4311?
Yeah,
Okay, so on average, that's just, again, kind of like the sidewalk line, ma'am.
yeah,
That's repairs every year after winter damage,
it's just standard stuff.
and that's just your standard, on average, we're doing that kind of repair around town. We've got wooden guardrail. Sometimes we're able to replace some of the boxed I-beam. We have pieces that we can go and take two pieces out, put a piece in,
Right.
and that's about what we're spending a year, sometimes a little bit more. So I left that as a repair line for us to go around after plowing and the damage done plowing. This is
Project.
This isn't the project
This
line
isn't-
for a major
and I,
rebuild.
that's why the select board was very willing to go.
Yeah.
Let's keep the project line a project line and declare
that.
Green Street, Crescent Street projects.
Okay?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Right, we're kind of leaning that way on a number of, philosophically on a number of items that we want to make projects so that it makes more sense in the budget process.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anything else? All right, I'll call a vote now. We're gonna vote on the approving the budget without amendments to the original amount for this section. So we're gonna vote on the highway project section, which is 4312, in the original amount of $335,001. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
That's 6 yeses, so the nays and the abstentions are, don't exist. Streets and Bridges, 4319. I'll make a motion to consider section 4319, which is street lighting and bridges for highway, in the select board recommended amount of $35,001.
I
What?
second.
Thank you. Motion by Paul, second by Sue. The numbers, like, just gotta take a zero out from the other one. So, street lighting and, bridges $1. Do we need to talk about this very much?
No. That's based on your electric bill every year.
Does anyone
The
have any
$1
questions?
is the 2 bridges that are sitting in the red line.
Oh, okay. You wanna come in? It's budget committee meeting.
I'm just wondering where meeting room B is.
It's over behind,
Assessing.
Do you want me to show
Assessing.
you? Do I have to?
It's a secret entrance, yeah.
you have to get through a security door, yeah.
So,
Yeah, let's vote. I have a question, but it has nothing to do with the budget, so it's
Okay.
just as a citizen of the town. So not hearing any comments, questions, or motions to amend, we will now vote on the bottom line for the section 4319, street lighting and bridges in the amount of $35,001. All in favor? Aye. 6-0, that passes. I think that's it for your 3 sections, right? Victor?
Yes it is.
So you're welcome to stay if you'd like to, but you'd surprise me if you do.
Unless Chuck, you need me here for anything? Then I will bid you adieu, and thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for
Thank you
coming
for
in.
your good work.
So Shannon, for 4319, we passed at 6-0.
Okay. Thank you.
So now we're gonna do 4324. Chuck, if you would take the hot seat, please.
Did you want to start with 43 and 24?
Yes, we're gonna do 4324, which is solid waste. I'll make a motion to consider the solid waste department, section number 4324, in the select board recommended amount of $422,454.
second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Joe. So, Chuck, anything you want to bring to our attention before we start asking questions, or?
No, go ahead and I'll try to answer as best I can.
Okay. Does anyone have anything that they wanted to,
This is all a new budget, since we separated from the highway department, so.
right, well, I think this budget has existed, but Mark would have just stayed in the chair and handled it
Right.
along with highway,
Right.
so it's
Yeah.
not a new leadership, but
Very.
it's
It's an important point,
It's-
though.
It's a service that the town has been providing and will continue to provide.
Correct.
I think
Carol, go
that, I think it's an important point for people that are watching. Some people may not realize that we have separated solid waste into its own entity, and now it's no longer under highway. So it's just important to understand that.
Okay, thank you for that reminder or that explanation. I don't really see anything. I guess the big question I always like to ask is that the disposal of household waste,
Okay.
what, municipal, MSL, SML, whatever, municipal solid waste, whatever. I mean, that's a service that the town provides.
Correct.
And the other services that we provide, you know, I got electronics I wanna get rid of, I got a propane tank I gotta get rid of, I got contract demolition crap I wanna get rid of.
Right.
That we ideally, we provide that as a cost. So we have a cost structure that allows us to recoup and run that at roughly a break even.
Correct.
Do you feel like you have enough information that you're reasonably confident that we are achieving that we are bringing in enough revenue to compensate for that?
We're not here to make money, of
No,
course.
no.
We're here to, just do the service. So, we try to separate like cardboard, aluminum cans. We do that. There's cost in refrigeration with getting rid of the Freon, getting rid of tires.
Yeah.
There's costs there. We recycle oil, and then the highway, they take it and burn it.
Oh.
You know, so that helps out too. So going forward, we like to see, you know, some different programs. I did start this year because of our hazardous waste. They would not take Freon, not Freon, the bulbs.
Oh, fluorescents?
Yeah, fluorescent bulbs anymore. So I had to start a program that now we take them at the transfer station every time you come. And that's a cost. And we don't charge nobody for it. We just do it, and it's not that much, but there is a cost to it. But we're looking at doing, you know, trying to get stuff out of our MSWs, which is our containers, and we're looking at styrofoam. You know, going into next year, hopefully that we can maybe try to get a program on styrofoam, pulling that out. There is going to be a cost with that to start off with, but we're looking at grants, trying to help out with that. But that's it. You know, the recycle program has worked very well. We're doing good with that. So.
Okay. Anyone else have any?
I'll just say, when it comes time to vote, I'll be abstaining, just because Chuck's my father-in-law, so.
Okay.
I did know that, but I'd forgotten. Thank you.
So the solid waste disposal portion has gone up like $43,000. That's the from, at least from before. And this time it's gone up to 13,000. That's just the waste, that's just the extra cost of disposing of all of that? Is that what that is?
What line?
Which line do you
Oh, I'm
want?
sorry, I'm in the 4324.
Yeah, but, so you're just looking at the total budget?
Yeah, the total budget. So, I mean, the 40,000 extra, is that because of these
So
additional?
I don't see, so we, for 24, we budgeted $409,000.
Mm-hmm.
And for 2025, the current request is $422,000.
Right, that's
So that's a little over $20,000 difference. It's about a three.
13,000.
Yeah, well,
From the 409 to.
Right.
overall, when you look at like hazardous waste day, there's a few $100s there going up. There's some stuff that are going up. Everything's going to go up, you know, a little bit here and there. Contracts, when we sign these contracts with NRRA, you know, they've had gone up this year. So, and we were on I think a 7-year contract, and I think it's about up, but now they're doing it 1 year at a time because they don't know the pricing of fuel and everything that, you know, that they do. So they're trying to do the best they can where we have to agree with most of their contracts. So.
And I think at
Right.
least half of that $13,000 variance is just payroll and benefits.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I would point out that we made the decision to the select board to put some more hours into the supervisor position, so you got a little bit more money there, and you got, then, as you say, you've got the benefits that go along with that are up a little bit, and that's been the right decision, according to what people are saying about how this
Absolutely.
transfer station is running.
That department is friendlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Friendlier now than it's ever been.
Good. We strive on it. So we like cleanliness, and we try to help out as much as we can, you know, so we do appreciate the town.
There's always someone coming right up to your car when you go to the dump and always asking, can I help you with anything? Is there anything you want me to get? It has been pretty amazing to have that, and just, if I have an oversized bag of trash and I can't haul it out of my car, it's nice to know someone's able to help me. That has been a huge game changer over there.
I'm really happy, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Do the attendants regularly check for the stickers?
We do.
They do it very surreptitiously.
If you look at the stickers from what we made last year compared to this year, we're up over $1,300. So,
I'm just concerned with people that don't have them, adding their waste to our expense.
yeah, we're on top of it. Do we have some that get by? Yes, but the biggest thing, I live here now, so these are my people. So I don't raise Cain with them saying I'm gonna kick you out or anything like that. But I do tell them, say, look, the next time you come in, you need to go talk to Rama, get you a sticker and come on back, but go ahead and empty your trash because I live on Keyser and I don't want it down on my ditch down there or tires or whatever, which I've been picking up down there. But that's the reason, so people always have a story. And most of the times their stickers are in their glove compartment, about 90% of them. So when we do ask, they look, oh yeah, I forgot to put it, and then they put it out.
So it's saying me got me in that this year. I had mine in the glove compartment. So they watch.
See? Oh yeah, we talk care of that, absolutely. So,
Thank you.
Any other comments? We're ready to vote on this? I think we are, all right. So, we haven't made any amendments, there are no changes, so we're gonna vote on the number as originally proposed. So we're making a final approval for the solid waste disposal budget, section 4324, in the amount of $422,454. All in favor? Say aye.
Abstain.
No nays, one abstention, 501.
I would, may I add a little bit of that for context
Sure.
for people watching? So, there's been a lot of great ideas brought to us about expanding recycling. And we had the conversation that the select board said that we will bring to the voters, and I won't be there anymore, but bring to the voters, say, the reason a lot of towns have stopped recycling is because it hasn't paid off. It's cost more to do that
it does.
than just to have an MSW stream.
That's right.
So the select board said that it isn't our job to say, we're going to recycle from a philosophical standpoint, but in the future, we're gonna bring that to the people and say, if you want to recycle, it's gonna cost you this much more, and you have to decide if that's what you wanna do. How, the details of how we would do that.
Right.
So, and Chuck's been bringing some good ideas forward on that, so that's just a sidebar.
Okay, thank you.
That's,
So-
I got two sidebars
I
already.
think you just have the one section, right? So
That was it.
So you're all done, and I don't know where Jeff is, so I guess I can stall for a minute, but I don't have Jeff's phone number, you don't, do you?
I don't, but I think I know where I could find it.
Okay.
Do
Could
you
you,
want me to?
would you please see if we could give him a goose and see if he's on his way, or if he's forgotten us, or what's going on?
Give me a couple minutes,
Yep.
I'll see what I can do.
That's fine.
I thank y'all.
Thank you,
Say Jeff,
thank you for
yeah.
coming down.
Thank you, all.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Phone number?
Phone number or email, really.
Look, there he is, he said goodbye.
He expressed an interest in having it, but he didn't make the last meeting because he had a conflict. I'm just trying to, I want to keep
I
it
don't know if I
abreast.
have an email other than
Well, I
his
can,
former
if
selectman
I
email.
have a phone number, I can.
In fact, he just sent me a text. It's, got it?
I think you might be right, but I don't know
603,
100%, so I can't tell you you're absolutely right.
481-2549.
That's what I believe. Yeah, but he is.
I'll just
He
send him a
was
text
driving by
and invite him
in
to
the truck
join
today
our
anyway,
mailing
yeah,
list.
so-
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. I emailed Christina, I know she's away.
Yeah, she's
I thought-
been really sick on and off, so she's been a lot.
This past summer, he had some
Yeah.
time off, but he got to
But
work.
he was sick
Yeah.
a week or so ago.
Appreciate it.
Most most of their budget is enterprise, you know.
Yeah.
Right, all of them. Well, except for fire betterment, yeah.
We've also had some philosophical discussions about salt usage and how some people get concerned about how much salt is being used. The NLRA has sampled the Black Brook that comes down from Upper Birch down across by Shackett's there. And the chlorides are high in there, and they don't know why, but it could be salt. But Upper Birch tends to be kind of slick when you come around that corner, so they salt that. So I think we're going to be looking at that, or your future select boards are going to be having that conversation with the Conservation Commission about, are there any areas we want to back off on salt usage
Okay.
that people won't feel like we're putting their safety at risk. More sand, less salt maybe, so that will be a conversation that will be happening.
Yeah, I didn't think, I mean, I have no idea if Victor or any of the other people are, but there is basically training on salt use where you get some sort of eco certification that you understand the
okay.
benefit and,
Yep.
you know, that's my understanding, you know, salt depresses the freezing point, so instead of water freezing at 32, salt water will stay liquid down to like 29 or something. So if you're close to freezing, salt has a real benefit to you. But if you're down to 10 degrees, you might as well put sand down, because all the salt's going to be is grit, because it doesn't, you can't make water go liquid at 10 degrees, no matter how much salt you have.
But it's important to know if there actually is an effect.
Right.
It's easy to say, I know salt's gonna affect the water, but if you don't know that, we don't know that at this point, so. But it's something that should be talked about by a Conservation Commission.
And your neighborhood's probably a little more important, because the runoff from your roads drain into the lake. I'm just slightly
Yes.
downhill of that, so my runoff all goes into the Newfound River, which goes to the Pemmy, which doesn't affect the lake. So I
Right.
don't think we're doing anything horrible, but if we are, at least it's not affecting the lake.
And we hope to have our lake quality study report out in about 2 months. We have been having trouble getting ourselves together to do the last 2 pages, review the last 2 pages.
Well, the new NLRA building has come along great.
I've heard good things about it. I haven't been up to. What was I talking
They're having
to?
a tour.
I was talking to
next
some of the
weekend.
people. I was talking to some of the people, but I haven't been up to Hebron to take a look myself.
They're having, I think it's next Saturday, but don't quote me, but they're having a tour, and you can
That
go.
could be. I get there.
And they'll take you through the building.
I'm a member. I get their emails all the time, and I usually just read them quick and then delete them.
Well, yeah, they sent one out before Christmas inviting, open invitation to come see it on a date certain.
Okay. And I heard that it was modular, so that it was going up very quickly.
Yeah,
Something to be said for that.
Yeah.
I watched some of it. I'd seen it on this old house, but it's the forms for the concrete are basically, I guess it's styrofoam, and then something, and then styrofoam, and they just lay those in place with a crane and, build it. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Concrete in the middle?
Well, yeah, it's,
Kind of like the
Yeah.
public safety.
yeah,
building.
well, except the public safety building, they had to pour it. These are already made. So they're just, it's
oh,
almost,
coming in
I watched them do most of the first floor in probably a couple of hours. It was almost like putting Legos.
Oh, that's the
together.
walls, not the
Yeah,
foundation.
the wall,
Oh.
the foundation was poured, but then the walls are just prefabricated to the specific building,
Okay,
and they're insulated, and they're just put in place
nice.
and braced. And went up quickly.
Well, I don't want to do too much that would not get our note taker not here, so I don't think we can jump ahead and do minutes. I will remind people that, so for schedule-wise, our next meeting will be 2 weeks from tonight. It's basically our review meeting. So if you have any sections that you want to reconsider, you can show up and just reopen them, but if you let me know ahead of time, I can put them on the agenda, we'll get those budget sections printed out and distributed to all of the committee members so that's prepared to talk about that. And then we'll also go over the revenue projections and the preliminary warrant for town meeting, which won't be finalized, doesn't get finalized till after the 31st, because that's the deadline for petition warrant articles, so things could still be coming through, but we'll at least get a heads up from Christina and the select board what the planned warrant is, because we'll vote on that. And then assuming that goes on, the following week, and the first Tuesday in February was on our calendar as basically a makeup day in case we had to cancel something for snow. I'm expecting we won't need a meeting that day, we'll just meet on the 11th to have our public hearing, go over the budget, go over revenues, go over the warrant article, vote on our recommendations for the warrant articles that have spending in them that we have to provide a
Would that be our
recommendation.
public hearing meeting?
That
as
would be
well?
our public hearing meeting, yes.
We might need that meeting if we don't do sewer tonight.
Right. Right, if we don't, right, we would have to, yeah. What did you hear?
He apologizes to the committee, he will be here very soon.
Okay, he forgot us.
Huh?
He forgot us.
I wasn't gonna say that, but.
Well, now that you're back, why don't we at least get some things done? You wanna review the minutes for the most recent meeting on the, December 17th? Does that make sense?
Yep.
I don't have any comments. Does anyone have any, or do you need me to stall while you take a look through? Buzz, you always have a couple of corrections. I count on you for spelling and grammar and
Yeah.
punctuation.
On the first page, under 4550 library,
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4 lines down, line begins materials.
Yeah.
After the word downloadable, I think you should add in the word book. It doesn't, what downloadable is.
Okay.
Okay.
That's how they described it, was downloadable.
And then, no, they just, I looked back at my notes, they said downloadable book rates.
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Then in the last sentence on that page, Ms. Hayward stated yes, and the yes, I have a question mark, stated yes to what? I couldn't figure it out. I would, oh, never mind, no, I'm sorry, I know what the question is. I asked a question, were the rates fixed or charge provided? And she stated yes. Yes, were they fixed, or yes, were they charge provided? And I went back to my notes and I couldn't tell, so. So that's a substantive question that I don't know the answer to. Maybe you can just go and listen again and
Okay.
see what she says.
I think that the charge is per usage, per volume. And her comment was, I think what she was saying was that the number went up for two reasons, because patrons are using more books and the cost per book usage charged by the state library has gone up.
Correct, that's what I remember as well.
So
Okay.
I can, because being a library trustee, I know she said that during one of our meetings, that it's both that
Okay,
the cost per book use has gone up and the number of books that we use has gone up. So both of those things have contributed
maybe
towards
this
a,
can just be made
we can,
clarified to say that. Yeah, okay. We don't have to spend a lot of time on that. On page 2, 4140 election registration and vital statistics. About 3/4 of the way down, the line begins with the word state. State will inform her, strike the word in.
Oh, in sometime in
Yeah.
2025.
And then continuing in that same line, when the grant application, add the word window before the word is,
Grant application window is open.
and then strike the words to apply for,
Okay.
because it ends the sentence in a preposition. 4130, 4 lines down at the end of the line. The word there should be either his or her, depending upon who the executive assistant is. And I don't know who it is, so I'm. But
The beach
it
supervisor
says-
is
it
a
says
woman. Is a-
Ms.
is a-
Goodwin stated the employee singular, so majority of
The
either
employee
his
is
or
a
hers.
female person.
Okay, so then the word there should become the word her.
Okay.
I think that is something that's starting to be done, though, given the discussion on gender.
I know, but
think
for
we're
60,
starting to
for
see
60-year-old people like
top
Buzz and me, we don't do it.
10-4.
normally.
I'm with you, I'm just making a point.
Can you repeat that again, though, just to make sure I
In
understood?
the line, it's 4 lines down, the line begins with the word budget in 4130.
Okay,
In budget period, Ms. Goodwin stated the employee is still the beach supervisor, but the majority of, and then strike the word there and
okay.
insert the
Her.
word her.
Okay,
And then in that same section, 5 lines up from the bottom, the line begins recognition gifts.
yep,
Instead of the word or, I went back my notes, it should be and. It's recognition gifts and a holiday party. And then in the very last line of the page, period, Ms. Goodwin stated through findings, I think it should, through findings from the 2023 audit. The second word through should become the word from.
okay.
At the top of the next page, 6 lines down, the line begins with the word receives.
Yep,
$750,000 or more in federal, strike the word funds,
yep,
and then grant funds should be lowercase g, lowercase f.
okay.
Under legal, 4143, in the second line at the end, noting bills will be paid from the budget, comma, and then insert the word she.
Okay.
And then the next page, at the very top, will no longer be used in this budget, and then insert the word she.
Okay.
Then, let's see, about a third of the way down, the line begins with the word plan. There's plan with Primex. Includes security training, and then insert the word in. Training in which employees must watch a video. And let's see, what is this? About halfway down that paragraph, the line begins of the property.
Yep,
Strike relatively in between and insert expected in. Sales expected in January or February.
okay.
And then 3 lines up from the bottom of that paragraph, you have an extra 4 in the dollar amount. It says the amount of 4439.
Oh, 4 million, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Buzz.
2 million here and there, but
Just an extra 4 million.
Yeah.
Well, there's no comma, so.
Yeah,
it's
there's no
unclear.
comma, but
In 4521 on the next page,
Yep,
about halfway down, the line begins with the word season.
yep,
If a chair in poor condition is returned, this budget covers the cost of, add the word replacement beach chairs,
Okay.
because we had a big discussion about that. And we're only replacing them, not buying new. Under 4651, this is really nickel and dime. The line begins in tens, and if you move over Penny Path, there's no dash or hyphen, it's just Penny Path.
Okay.
And then,
Is it all one word, or is there a space
no,
between the two?
it's capital P, but it's not hyphenated.
But I mean, is it a compound word with two caps in it, or is it two words, Penny
It's
space
two
path?
words, Penny Path,
Okay.
yep, like Jones Trail.
Yeah.
And then in that same line, noting Mr. McNally will be.
Working. Gotcha.
And actually, now that I see that, it's not McNally, it's Vignally, I made the same mistake.
So we finished voting on water and sewer and have a zero budget.
Say that.
The engineer's name is not McNally, because I made the same mistake. It's Vignally, Vignale.
N-A-L-E.
And when you hear it said, it's out there, so.
I try to Google as many names as possible, sometimes it doesn't work out that
Okay.
And
So
that's
his name is in there twice, so it's gotta get
Yeah.
in both places.
So I will-
I just noticed it now.
Okay.
I
That's
said-
it, that's all
I
I
don't know the
had.
guy, I thought it was McNally.
Huh?
I said, I can't believe you missed it.
All right, so give me one more second. So, any other comments, questions, suggestions, changes? So now we will vote on approving the minutes as amended. All in favor? Aye.
Did we have a first or a second while I was gone?
I'll second.
I don't think you had a motion.
Yeah, Paul made a motion and Joe seconded it.
Thank you.
We can have creative ears.
You don't show up,
You-
Jeff,
you
you just
heard what I
fall
meant to
apart.
say. All right. So now we will go back to the discussion of departments. We had just finished with solid waste, and if you look at our, the next on our list is sewer department operations. So Jeff, if you could sit at the chair with the microphone. I'll make a motion to move the budget for sewer department operations, which is section,
4326.
yeah, but I wanted to actually, because it's a little confusing, it's 05-4326, in the amount of $8,294,610. Somebody can second that for me.
Was I fine?
Wait, that doesn't seem like the right
Yeah,
number.
I think it's.
You got the wrong-
I got the wrong
560.
number, I got the wrong number, it's 550, let's try again, Paul.
560.
5, so try again, yeah, that seemed like too big a number, didn't it? 5, so the correct budget number is $560,775.
Second.
Okay, motion by Paul, seconded by Joe, for the correct amount of $560,775. So basically, Jeff, what we're doing, is there anything in here that you want to call to our attention, that you want to say has changed, that you want us to adjust? And then if you have none, or when you finish doing that, if we have any questions,
I
we'll.
think I'm good. We did put a dumpster in it. Christina and I were talking about taking that out. That would be under my capital equipment.
I was gonna say, there's another section for, I would think the cost for emptying a dumpster would be in here. If you're gonna buy a dumpster, it's probably in your,
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's in the
slush
next
dumpster?
department.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as my operating budget, it's pretty much level funded from the previous year, just payroll increases. I don't think there's anything that was really too much of an increase that I recall.
no, you got a couple of things in here that have might percentage change, but the dollar amount
Dollar
is not
amount's not,
significant.
yeah.
And I guess I'll start with, if you don't have anything, I'll just start with the question that I always wonder about. It's not even so much a budget question, it's just with the labor market the way it is now, how are you doing on staff? Are you fully staffed? Do you have open positions? How are you doing?
We have open positions, we had been looking for certified operators. We're in the process of having a trainee in there now, operator in training for the wastewater.
Okay.
We still continue to look for a licensed certified wastewater operator, but not very successful at all. So, when we find them, they're paid a lot more in other towns, so, and you probably hear that a lot, but it is just the way it is, so it's hard to, and they're short too, other towns are short, so.
I see.
I think they're paying to keep their guys that they do have, so.
That makes sense, okay. So your solution is to hire someone without the training and the licensing and train them up?
Yeah. It has put us in a bind because checking stations on the weekends. We do have to have a certified operator, certified in wastewater in order to check the wastewater treatment facility, so. For years, we had not done it that way, but our water operators had the ability to do so.
I don't know if it was last year's budget or something else, but I remember you telling me the state kind of
Yeah.
changed the rules or...
Yeah, I don't know if we just misinterpreted them, but that's the way it is now, and they're cracking down on all the towns to do so, follow that, so.
Okay. I don't see anything in here that I have questions about. Does anyone else have a question or a comment? Any suggestions on changing anything? I want to make sure that you get that opportunity before we move on. Want me to stall a minute, or are you ready to?
No, I mean, there's nothing really on
All right.
this part of the budget.
So not hearing any desire to make any changes and no more questions, we'll go ahead and vote on moving the bottom line. So we didn't make any changes, it's the original amount. So we're gonna have a vote on a final approval for the sewer operations department budget, which is section 05-4326, in the amount of, let's get it right this time, Paul, $560,775. All in favor? Aye. 6 ayes, so the nays and the abstentions are both 0, and that passes. So we did sewer operations, now we'll do sewer capital projects. And here's your dumpster.
Yeah. So that can be zeroed out. We had purchased that in the 2024 budget with funds from cap reserve.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that you support me making a motion to amend line 942 of section 4327, which is a sludge dumpster for the sewer department capital projects, from the current amount of $12,000 to a new amount of $0.
Second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Joe.
Did we open up the budget for discussion?
Didn't I?
We can edit the individual line first, I think.
No, you're right, Shannon, thank you. Okay, I will make a motion to move the budget for sewer capital projects, which is section 05-4327, in the amount of $32,000.
I second.
Seconded by Sue. Now I'll make a motion to amend line 942 of said budget from the current amount of $12,000 to a new amount of 0, seconded by Joe. Does anyone, I don't think I need to talk about it, so I'm gonna not. Does anyone want to make a comment? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
6 ayes, so no nays or abstentions. So we will take that $12,000 out. Your paving and your South Main Street bridge crossing are still in there.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So, what am I doing here?
So the bottom line, it's not just 20 grand?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to keep my notes here to make sure I know what I'm doing. Oops. not 1,200, but 12,000. I still can't do it, but anyway, so, any other questions, comments? Thank you, Jeff, for bringing that to us. Are the two projects that are still in here, the paving at the treatment plant and the repairs for, I guess this is repairing the sewer line where it crosses?
Yeah, there's a South Main
At the-
Street bridge.
At the bridge there where the river
Yeah,
goes
the-
underneath?
Insulation and the support brackets need to be repaired or replaced. So-
I was just gonna ask, is this like a one-off project, or is this like a part of what's gonna be a multi-year project?
No, it just did not get done this past year. I had budgeted, but just did not have the time to do it.
Thank you. All right, so, not hearing any other comments, trying to keep things moving along here, we will now vote on the bottom line budget for capital projects for the sewer department, which is number 05-4327, in the new amended amount of $20,000. All in favor?
Aye.
6 ayes, 8 nays, and abstentions are 0, it passes. Boy, this one's not gonna take a lot of time. Sewer surplus. So I'll make a motion to move the budget for the sewer department surplus, which is 05-4328, in the amount of $1.
Seconded.
Seconded, motion by Paul, seconded by Joe. So, I think this is pretty standard, makes sense. It'll be what it is, the $1 is a placeholder, and
It
when
is
you
a
get to the end,
placeholder,
when
yeah.
you get to the end of the year, you'll figure out what the operating surplus is and work with Christina to make that happen.
Correct, yeah.
Any other comments? I'm mostly explaining that for anyone who's watching us while we're
Yep.
streaming, because $1 seems kind of silly.
That's, yeah.
But we don't try to predict what the real numbers are gonna be at the end of 2025. It's easier just to leave a placeholder in. It doesn't affect the operation of the sewer department, and it gives you and the town the freedom to do what needs to be done.
Exactly, yeah.
All in favor? Aye. That's 6, passes. So now we'll move over to the water side of things. So, I will make a motion to move the water department operations budget, which is, what is it, 07-4331, in the amount of $523,119. I get a wrong number?
Did we skip over the debt service?
Yes, I was gonna do water,
His debt
Sewer.
service was next.
sewer operation, sewer capital. Then I got water operation, water capital, then I got fire betterment, and then I got all of the debits.
Fourth one from the bottom, sewer debt interest.
Right, so the order that I have them on my agenda are sewer operations, sewer
Oh,
capital,
okay.
sewer surplus, water operations, water capital, water surplus, fire betterment, then sewer debt principal, water debt principal, sewer debt interest, water debt interest.
Okay.
And then we're done. Did you wanna do all the sewer ones first? Does it matter
No,
to
that's
you?
just the way I had them.
That's the way we got
Step.
it too.
What I
That's how
had, when I printed
Yeah.
that one out for you,
Yeah.
and I
Okay.
had said there were two 4711s and 4721s,
Mhm.
one set of principal and interest for sewer and then one for water.
Okay, we can
That's
go,
easy,
we can go do that. If that's the order you have them, let's do it that way. So I ignore what I just said, and I will make a motion to move, excuse me, I got the wrong section here. I opened up interest instead of principal.
4711.
Yeah, I opened 4721. I'm gonna move the debt service principal for the sewer department, which is 07-4711,
05-4711.
05-4711, thank you.
Dash 730.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
and there's
no,
3
sorry,
lines in
disregard
there.
that.
In the amount of $52,234.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Joe. So, that was what you were expecting? Is that, we're back on track?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are projects that have happened in the past that we, or in the case of 997, projects that haven't happened yet, and so we don't have to make a principal payment in 2025.
Correct, yeah.
So I don't see much to talk about here. We have either made these commitments and we have to meet them, or we just know that future commitments are coming, but we don't really have much. If we're gonna be responsible, we don't have any ability to change these numbers. And we are gonna be responsible, so. Not hearing any other questions, comments, questions, or motions, we'll now vote on the bottom line budget for debt service principal payments for the sewer department, which is section 05-4711, in the amount of $52,234. All in favor? Aye. We have 6 ayes, so no nays, and no. Let me make sure I go to the, so we did sewer principal, now we're gonna do sewer interest. Sewer.
So that's 05-4721.
Right, so I'll move consideration of the interest payments on long-term debt for the sewer department, which is section 05-4721, in the amount of $21,920. Seconded by Sue. Motion by Paul, seconded by Sue for sewer debt interest payments for $21,920. I think the only question I have is that for line 997, when this budget was originally put together, I expect that was probably a bit of a guesstimate. Do you have any updated information? Is that still a good number, or do you need more money, or do you need less money, or is there any reason that you would want that changed, or is 20,000 the right amount?
I believe that's the right amount. Christine and I talked about that a little bit.
Okay.
I think she's happy with that.
I just didn't know if, since September to now, something had changed. If you wanted something changed, I'm sure,
Yeah,
I'm
not to my
relatively confident
knowledge.
we would have accommodated you.
Yeah. I think we're good.
Any other questions, comments? Not hearing any, we will now vote on the bottom line for this section, which is interest payments on long-term debt for the sewer department. Section 05-4721, in the original amount of $21,920. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously, 6-0. Now, we can move on to water operations, right? That seem reasonable, that which? So, water operations. I'll make a motion to move the bottom line for the water operations section budget, which is, water is 07, right? 07-4331, in the amount of $523,119. Seconded by Sue. Motion by Paul, seconded by Sue. Water operations, $523,119. Anything you want to bring to our attention, Jeff?
No, pretty much, follows the same as sewer. The increases are in payroll. Overall, I think it's, 4% overall in that operating budget.
Right.
So that's usually what we see, 4 to 6%. I don't think anything.
No, I don't think so. I mean, you got, oh. Surprise, surprise. Yep, I don't think we need to talk about cell phones or safety boots or uniforms or something like that. That's just normal inflation as far as I know.
Yeah.
Any other comments or? Okay, not hearing any, we will go ahead and vote on the bottom line budget for Water operations, 07-4331, in the original amount of $523,119. All in favor? Aye. We have 6 ayes, so no nays, and no. And then we'll go to water capital. Let's go back to water capital projects. I'll make a motion to introduce to move forward the water capital projects, which is 05-4332.
07.
07, sewer is 05, thank you, Carol. In the amount of $20,500.
Seconded.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Joe. Water capital projects, $20,500. So same thing, this is the other half of the paving. There was some of this in the sewer already.
Yeah.
And then,
The fiber skater.
I was gonna say, is this something, no, I see what it was it was in last year's budget, but you just didn't get it done, so it's again in this year's budget, right?
Yeah, we've done a little bit of work, and then we wanted to continue that, and we did not get that, same as the paving, and the floor epoxy. We did purchase the 1-ton dump truck just recently. So that goes away, but everything else is staying, to carry out this year.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Not hearing any, we'll go ahead and vote on the bottom line. So we're voting on Water Department capital projects, which is 07-4332, in the amended amount of $20,500. All in favor? Aye. We got 6 ayes, so there are nays and abstentions of 0, that passes. After water capital, now we got a water surplus. Assuming that. So I'll make a motion to consider the water surplus section of the budget, which is 07-4333, in the select board recommended amount of $1. Want to get a second in, Walter?
Oh,
I'll second it.
Motion by Paul, seconded by Walter, for water surplus for $1. So again, for anyone watching on the live stream or watching on the recording, again, this is kind of a placeholder. We're not at this point going to try to predict what the department's operating surplus will be at the end of 2025, so we put $1 in here as a placeholder, and we'll let Jeff work with Christina and the rest of the town administration to do what needs to be done to fund the capital reserves, which will fund capital projects in future years. So, not hearing any other comments or questions, we'll go ahead and vote on this bottom line for the operating surplus of the water department, section 07-4333, in the amount of $1. All in favor? Aye. 6 ayes, so no nays and no abstentions. It passes unanimously. Water surplus. Fire betterment. So this, I remember from past years. So, well, let me start with, we'll make a motion to advance to consider the fire betterment section, which is 4339, in the select board recommended amount of $10,000.
my second?
Motion by Paul, seconded by Sue, for fire betterment for $10,000. And this is, I know we've asked about this in the
Yeah.
past, so this is
This
basically
helps us,
hydrant repair or putting new ones in, or, it's all about hydrants, right?
Yep, it helps the water department with the maintenance of the fire hydrants, so that is, when I looked into it years ago, that $10,000 was about half of what it cost us to maintain the hydrant system, but that number, well, I should look back into that just to see what it costs now, because just purchasing a fire hydrant's about $3,500, never mind putting it in, so. And we've had, on average, a couple of them each year, so. On top of removing snow and maintaining, flushing, spring and fall, maintaining the paint and whatnot, so. It's quite an expense for us to do so, and we've asked the town to help us out with that over the years, and that number hasn't changed for years, so.
Right, so my understanding is that basically the cost of this program to maintain and install new fire hydrants in the town is split between the municipal town budget and the water department operations budget.
Yeah.
So this is the town municipal contribution towards that. All the additional expenses are being picked up by the water department, being paid for by us through our water bills, as opposed to this is being paid for through our property tax.
Correct.
Okay. I think it makes sense. You've explained it in the past, so I was listening.
Yeah, did.
Any other questions?
Yeah, these are just curious questions. So, what's the lifespan of a hydrant? What's,
We do have hydrants out there that were installed in 1952 that still work
nice,
perfectly fine, so.
and, so it's about 3,500 to replace one? Just one?
Yeah, that's just to purchase a hydrant now.
Just to
It's
purchase.
up about that price, so.
And how many would you say in the whole town of Bristol?
We have 165 hydrants there.
165, oh wow,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. So if like you had a few go at once, that'd be that'd eat up that 10,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we've had a few that were hit, so fortunately, the car insurance had paid for that. so,
Yeah, okay. Right. Okay, that's it. That's all I have.
Okay, anything else?
So this basically means everyone in town is contributing to a hydrant, which is for everyone's benefit as opposed to a user who's paying for their own benefit only,
Mhm.
Okay,
right? Water you, just as a point of clarification for people watching. If you're paying your own water bill, you're paying some towards the hydrant, but the rest of the taxpayers should be also paying towards the hydrants is the basic idea.
okay, yep. Yes, it's being, I don't know what the split is, because I don't know the total cost,
Yeah.
but of the total cost, 10,000 is being paid for from the municipal budget, from all property owners in the town, and the rest of it's being paid by the water department through water usage fees. Okay? All right, so now we'll vote on final approval for this section, 4339, which is fire betterment in the unamended amount of $10,000. All in favor? Aye. 6 ayes, so the nays and the abstentions are 0. And, all right, I think we're done. Somebody can correct me if I missed one, because obviously I...
Gotta do
Kinda
water debt,
Water debt service.
we did sewer debt.
Thank you, see?
Water.
I felt I was forgetting something, but I thought I was done, so thank you for bringing that up. All right, so we have 2 more sections to go. I'll make a motion to move forward with considering the water department long-term debt principal, which is section 07-4711, in the amount of $55,173.
Seconded.
Seconded, motion by Paul, seconded by Joe, for water debt principal, $55,173. Again, there's 2 projects in here. We've taken the bonds, we need to make the payments. I don't think we have any real opportunity to make any changes. So we'll now vote on bottom line approving this section, which is water debt service principal payments, 07-4711, for the unamended amount of $55,173. All in favor? Aye. I didn't mean not to ask you. If you wanted to say something, please jump in, and we're not,
No,
I didn't think I caused you to not, but usually I ask you what you want to say, and I didn't even do that at that time.
no, I'm good with that, so.
Okay, water department, long-term debt interest payments, 07-4721, in the select board recommended amount of So we're moving forward with, 6,400, is that right? $6,414.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Paul, seconded by Joe for water debt interest payments for $6,414. Not hearing any other comments? Jeff, you didn't have anything you needed to say, did you? See, I remember
Not
this
in
time.
regard to that.
So we're gonna vote on the bottom line of approving this budget section, section 07-4721, which is long-term debt interest payments for the water department in the unamended amount of $6,414. All in favor? Aye. 6 ayes, some nays, and abstentions is 0. Did I get them all now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I think we're done. Thank you for
Yeah.
coming down on short notice.
Yeah. Sorry I wasn't here when I was supposed to.
Those things happen. If you'd said you weren't coming, we would have given you grief, but
Yeah.
we were willing to stall and wait a few minutes.
So, I will say that we do not plan on raising water rates or sewer rates this year coming to fund the budgets. All right?
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Has the, I know that the project is approved, and I thought I had heard engineering was happening. When do you expect them to actually stick a shovel in the ground and start building a new building?
I think it won't be until spring, so, but they are working on shop drawings and ordering some of the bigger parts that they need. It takes some time to get all of those, so.
Okay.
Yeah, the clock is starting ticking.
We're on the
It
clock.
should be completed in the next 18 months, so.
Good.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, so we've done all of the new business, and I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that now we have considered all of the departmental sections of the municipal budget. So we have a rough, we've approved all the sections. Next meeting, we will have the opportunity to go back and reconsider any sections that you want. The budget deliberations are not closed, there still can be more changes made, but all the sections have been approved, at least to this point.
I wonder what Dawn came for.
I was gonna go through the agenda and get here in a second.
I was at another meeting, I just stopped in. That's all.
Okay, so we've already done,
He's watching over me, is what he's doing.
we've already done the minute meetings. So the next item on our agenda is correspondence. So, I did get a piece of correspondence that I just want to make the rest of the committee aware of. I got an email from Betty Sealer. And Betty is on the board of directors for the Lakes Region Visiting Nurse Association. So she contacted me and said that the executive director had reached out to her to ask the Bristol Budget Committee what's the status of their budget line. So I told Betty where we were and that they currently were at, off the top of my head, I want to say $20,000, which was the select board recommended amount, but it's something that we had discussed, and it's something that we would be bringing up in our meeting on January 28th when we're going back to reconsider budget sections. So I'm not sure why, but the Lakes Region Visiting Nurse did reach out and ask what's the status, and I gave them that update. So I don't know if Betty's going to come to the meeting or what's going on, but we will reconsider Lakes Region.
If I'm not mistaken, we agreed to 22.
I don't have the budget in front of me right now, so maybe
Wasn't that your?
I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
We had motions to change the number, and none of those motions passed.
Right.
We had a motion to change the line for Penny Baker,
Yes.
and that vote did pass.
Yeah,
So the Penny Baker line is different than what the select board recommended, but the Lakes Region Visiting Nurse Association is still at the select board recommended amount, but we will talk about it again in 2 weeks.
the penny
So-
we raised the amount.
So- In any case, we will talk about it.
Okay.
And if there's any other, I said it before, I will say it again. As I understand it, we are not constrained by the agenda. So when we meet in 2 weeks, we can make a motion to reopen any section of the budget. But if we know that we want to reopen a section of the budget, I would like to know about it ahead of time, because we'll put it on the agenda. That way, if members of the public are interested, they're gonna know we're gonna talk about it. If we think that it's gonna be significant, not so much but if we said we were gonna consider a major cut in the police department, I would wanna give the department head, the chief, a heads up, you might wanna come to this meeting. So if we know we're gonna reopen things, we'll let the department heads know, and I'll try to give them a heads up. It's not a big deal, you can come if you want, or it is a big deal, you really should come. We don't, we want to be open and transparent. I also want them to be here to provide their point of view and their input to help us come to the best decision.
I take it that my request to reopen that particular line, on both lines, has already been...
The section for health agencies
Yes.
will be reopened
Okay.
at the next meeting in 2 weeks.
Both lines, Pemmy Baker and
When we reopen budget
Oh.
sections. So the section is for,
Okay.
I believe is labeled health agencies. So both of the lines in there can be discussed. Don't think that I had any other correspondence. Did anyone else get any correspondence from budget business? Okay. So now comments. So we usually start with select board. Anything going on with the select board that you want to share with us that we should know about?
Probably nothing more than I've shared during the course of the meeting, other than we appreciate the work you're doing. We did talk about this a little bit last time, so thank you for everything you're doing, and I think that's about it.
Okay. Joe, anything you wanted to say?
No.
Buzz?
No?
Walter?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I regret having brought up that salt.
I think we're okay.
You're good, Walter. Don't
We're
worry.
okay, don't worry about it.
You can reopen it next meeting.
Normally we ask Christina if staff has any comments. I'll ask Shannon. You don't have any comments, right? Okay. So, any comments from the public? Did you come that you wanted to say something to us?
No, I was in
I heard you say
HTC.
you were in with, okay.
You guys are still here, so I'm gonna sit for a while.
All right. So before we adjourn, I'll just mention it before I begin. Our next meeting is in 2 weeks, on the 28th, and we will review any subjects, any budget, any departmental sections of the budget that we want to reconsider. We will reopen and consider. We will also go over the revenue forecast, which at the meeting 3 weeks later, we will have to vote to approve, and we'll go over the preliminary warrant, which won't be settled, but we'll at least know what's going on.
Paul, quick thing, did we, just with the request, if we can get them in maybe, I think we had discussed like midweek next
So
week.
typically what'll happen is Shannon and I will work to get the minutes of this meeting done hopefully over the weekend by early next week. So ideally, we'll send the meeting announcement with the agenda and all the budget and all the attachments, which in this case will be revenues and warrant articles and health agencies, because we know we're reopening those, by the middle of next week. So if you know you want to reopen a section, if you could let me know or let Shannon know, say within a week, by next Tuesday. And then the other thing, I don't think we have to make a final decision, but I'm just going to repeat again. Our schedule says we have a tentative meeting on the first Tuesday of February, which was basically in case we needed to make up for a canceled meeting for like a snow cancellation or something. We haven't canceled any meetings, so I'm expecting we will not have a meeting on the 4th. We can make a final decision in 2 weeks on the 28th to see if there's any work that still remains to be done before the public hearing. Anyone else have anything before we adjourn? Okay, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 8:04 p.m. Thank you very much for coming. Have a good night.